Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, by golly, the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host, it's Grayson.
Hello, that's me.
Did you think I'd forgotten the last half of the intro there?
I was thinking about it.
No, I was just taking dramatic pause.
Gotcha.
Grayson, we're back in the room.
Yeah, we are.
The infamous room. It's once again full of holiday cheer.
Yeah.
You're backed up to a Christmas tree.
I sure am.
You've got about 2 inches of width there.
Yeah.
I cannot move my chair back, which means we're back in action.
Yeah, we are.
A little delayed because of
illness.
The plague sweeping through the podcast studio. The producers were down.
Yeah.
Grayson was down.
Best boy grip was down.
The best boy grip was down. Our head writer.
Yeah.
Me, I was down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Grayson had COVID.
Yeah.
I had not COVID, but could have been COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. In the meantime, if you were paying attention to the podcast feed, I put out a Mexican-American movie commentary that we recorded last year. Ironically, it was full of coughing, so I had to mute a bunch of that, which is why I didn't put it out for a year. But I'm glad I had it in my back pocket, so I could slot it in there while it took a week off to recover.
Yeah.
But we're back. We're sexier than ever.
I'm gonna try not to cough as much. I got a whole line of cough drops, so
literally they're lined up.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
I'm gonna try and keep this shit under control. So
yes.
I'm not blowing your guys' ears out.
That's okay. It'll be fun, regardless.
Yeah.
Grayson.
Yes.
It's a very special episode we've got here.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's our very first double feature. Feature.
Yeah.
Because this week, well, what we do on this podcast, every week, we watch a movie, we look at it, we write some stuff down, and then we come back into the room, we talk about it.
Well, you write some stuff
down.
I
write some stuff down. Grayson writes down nothing.
Yeah.
I always make sure Grayson actually watched the movie. So far, we've always been on the same page.
Yeah.
I live in fear for the day where I'm like, did you watch that movie? And they're like, I watched a different movie.
Well, no, that's my fear, because I tend to text you a lot going, hey, am I watching the right one?
You go, is this movie in French?
Yeah.
And so far, they've not been incorrect. So that's what this podcast normally is. And this week we decided we double up. Well, I decided. We double up and watch 2 movies as like a 2024 catch-up. Wrap up kind of thing. So I've decided the way we're going to do this, we're going to talk about Mayhem first.
Okay.
Because it's the shorter film.
Yep.
I think it's a little bit less dense. Like there's not as much to talk about.
Yeah. And
And then we'll like have a little break, and then we'll talk about Monkey Man. We might do some comparisons because they have some similarities.
Yes.
But we'll probably just throw a big spoiler tag on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be kind of hard to go back and forth and not spoil some stuff. But I would say if you haven't seen either one of them, both are some level of free at the moment. So Monkey Man is available on Prime Video to stream. And then Mayhem is on Hulu. So if you have either of those services, you can watch them there. But yeah, I would say, without getting into the depths of the review, both are pretty easy recommends. They're pretty brutal. So if you're squeamish about violence, I would say avoid, especially Mayhem, but both of them. But otherwise, I think they're an easy recommend. So if you're going into this having not seen either one, I'm going to say that right at the front. That way you can proceed without being spoiled.
There you go.
But we'll get into Mayhem first.
Yes.
So, Mayhem is a 2024, well, technically 2023, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Action film directed by Xavier Gens, with a script by Magali Rosito, Xavier Gens, and Guillaume Lemons. It's French as hell, this movie.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it. The film stars Nassim Lies as Sam, with support from Olivier Gourmet, Vithaya Pansengarm, Lauren Nune, and Chanachicha Chaipa. I nailed that.
Yeah,
I just barreled through it. I didn't even pause to...
Yeah. Good work.
Would you like to guess what Mayhem has on Rotten Tomatoes? Or I should say it's spelled Mayhem. It's got an exclamation point. Yeah.
When we're talking critical score, right?
Critical score.
Well, it's a French film, so...
Tis French.
Critics probably got their jollies off on this shit.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say like 80.
Oh, man. Very good. Yes, it has an 81% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, with an audience score of 60%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The film, I'm going to start including this at the beginning because I think it's an interesting thing to think about. This film was made on a budget of around 4,920,000 euros, which is around $5 million.
Okay.
However, Mayhem only brought in around $1,500,000 at the global box office. Now, that being said, that does not include like straight-to-video rentals, and it does not include like festival showings, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
I believe this movie first screened at a film festival, like an extreme cinema film festival thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it brought in some revenue there that probably made up for it. But anyway, yeah, I just think that's interesting.
That is interesting.
This film does not pass the Bechdel test.
Not even a little bit.
There's two women that are main characters. One is brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And the other is a child.
Yep.
Anyway, finally, the plot synopsis from IMDb. A model prisoner's leave ends in tragedy when his past resurfaces, forcing him to flee. He starts over in Thailand until a local criminal coerces him back into crime. After this man attacks his family, he vows revenge.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum. Grayson, what'd you think of this movie?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. So it is quite violent. Mm-hmm. And there definitely are some, like, horrifically graphic things.
Yes.
But when you texted me saying, hey, if you need to, like, stop halfway through, that's fine. I was expecting a lot worse.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually pleasantly surprised by how less violent it was than I guess I made it out to be in my head.
Okay.
Again, still horribly graphic.
Yes.
I mean, some dude gets stabbed in the neck with a bone.
Yes, there is. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah,
was god awful.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
And there's some other stuff, but that is seared into my brain.
Yeah.
I saw it coming too.
I was
like, don't do it. Please don't. And then he did it. And I was like,
There is one scene in particular that I think we'll talk about in a minute. It is start to finish like the most horrific violence. Like not ever committed to film, but just like.
Is it the elevator?
It's pretty gnarly. And it's gnarly in like I want to say fun, but
yeah,
it's interesting to watch. Like the way it unfolds, you're like,
It made me glad that I'm not a criminal.
Yes, yeah,
because I couldn't do that shit.
I will say this whole movie makes you very grateful for the life you live.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it didn't like blow me away or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I still like the villain. I will say the villain was very well done.
Yes.
He was a big old bitch.
Yes.
And I hated him. So well done to that actor.
I agree. I would say this. This is the kind of movie where it's like, this is like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Food analogy. This is like This is like when you're on vacation, right? And you're looking for something to eat, right? And you're like, okay, there's all these places, right? And you're like, I'm gonna go to like, I don't know, like you're in the not so good part of town, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm gonna go to this restaurant that's called like Jerry's Kitchen or whatever, right? And it's in like the bad part of town, you know, it's next to a massage parlor, right?
Right.
And you get the food and it's like, does it blow you away?
No.
Not necessarily, but it's the best damn food you could have at that moment.
Yeah.
It's simple food done really well.
Yeah.
That's this movie, right?
Yep.
The plot is the plot of an action movie. It's just
so simple.
It's so simple. It's exactly what every movie in this genre is.
Yep.
Guy does some stuff and then his wife gets murdered and his kid gets kidnapped and he got to go get it back.
Yeah.
Like that's it. You get some human trafficking thrown in there.
Yep.
This is Taken. This is, you know, any movie in that genre. That being said, I think it's a very like polished version of that. And I think it's shot very well. You can tell that the director put a lot of effort into where he put the camera, like into the cinematography. I think it's very, very well acted. I think the lead actor in this does an incredible job at conveying sweaty desperation. Like just, this is a man who is at all hours just stressed the hell out.
He's so downtrodden and like just not having a good time.
This movie could be retitled Sam's No Good Very Bad Day because it's just, this man has had the worst luck.
Like it starts out and he gets out of prison and he's got a job and he's like, okay, I'm like doing all right. And like at first his job, right, was just part of his parole. But then the I guess a foreman or whatever was like, hey man, I really like your work ethic. I think, you know, you got a future here. I can offer you just like a legit job. Right. So things are looking up. And then immediately it goes to shit. Like not even 30 minutes in, it just is all to shit. And poor Sam.
And I will say,
a real one.
I will say this movie, if there's a theme to this, it is this like theme of like no good deed, right? Goes unpunished, because it's like Sam is a very well-meaning person who keeps making very stupid decisions and it costs him a lot in the end, right? Like the impetus for this movie is that he, you know, he's in prison, he'd done something stupid in his whatever, drug running or something. And, you know, he's out on parole. Like you said, he gets like, some of his old gang is like, hey, do this thing for this guy. And he's like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'm trying to do whatever. And then they like go to attack him later, right? And he ends up running away. One of them attacks him at like this construction site and he kicks the guy off the building and kills him, right?
The idiot dies. His brain explodes.
That guy is paste at the end of it. But the thing is, right, like if you're watching it and I had this thought when I watched it this time, if he had just like turned around and just ran into a building or just like ran, you know, somewhere with a phone and just called somebody like his parole officer, his whatever, and just been like, I'm being actively assaulted. Like, can you like, you know, help me out here? Do something. Instead of running into an abandoned construction site, like,
and then killing a guy.
A lot of this movie wouldn't happen. Right. And then the same thing later in the movie when he's asked to do this criminal thing, you know, to help his wife out. It's like, maybe instead of being like, I'll do a big crime to get my wife this plot of land. Just be like, you know, hun, maybe we should just look for a different thing.
I know it sucks. I know you really had your eye on it. But there's plenty of beach.
There's a lot of beach. We're in Thailand. You know, this is a beautiful country. Like,
so we're going to find another very nice
It's going to be okay, you know. You could even be like, honey, we literally live on the water. Like,
like we're fine.
We're fine. We're going to be okay. Because he could even be like, and I know that like the twist of the movie down the line is that like that guy who is like their friend. You know, he like double cross. You find out he had double crossed him or whatever. If you don't know that, right, you could even make the argument like, just buy his restaurant, right? Like, it seems like he doesn't like it that much anyway.
Right. He's
you know?
kind of just a bitch about it.
So I don't know. But yeah, so this movie's about a man making very bad decisions.
Yeah. Moral of the story, if you're confronted with something that seems a little fucked up, maybe give it just a second.
Yes.
Just think.
Just think about it for a minute.
And genuinely, you only have to give it like 30 seconds to really sit and reflect.
Yeah.
And you'll come to the realization, because our minds do this, right? Mm-hmm. Our first instinct is to just go.
Right.
But if we breathe and go, is this really a good idea? Our brain goes, oh, you know what? I was overreacting. That's my bad. No, this is a stupid fucking idea.
Right.
Let's not do this.
Yeah. I even feel like when he's in, because the whole thing is, right, and we've kind of explained the plot, but if you haven't seen it for whatever reason, so Sam is, like I said, he's this ex-con.
Yeah.
He ends up killing a guy while he's on probation, so he flees to Thailand, right? And while he's in Thailand, as you do, he meets this woman and her daughter. He starts a new life, blah, blah, blah. Well, his wife wants to start her own, like, restaurant, and she wants it on this particular piece of beachfront property, and it's bought by this, like, sort of local gangster scum guy, and the guy is like, I will sell you the land, or he's even like, I'll gift it to you if you just do this job for me, right? Just one job, and then, you know, we'll go from there.
When he said that out loud, I went, it's never just one job.
No, it's never, like, have you ever watched a movie? Like,
literally. They say, oh, it's just one job. It's just one super easy job. You do it, you get whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, you finish the job, and then like, okay, so I know I said it was only one job, and I'm going to give you a little bit, but I need you to do another job, and I'll give you more. And that's how they get you. That's what's called getting conned.
Yes.
So.
And it's, anyway. Yeah. So the job is basically, he has to, because Sam works for this hotel that frequently, like, ferries people to and from the airport, right? Yeah. And so what he's been tasked with doing is bringing this suitcase that has drugs in it to the airport, where it'll be picked up by a guy who works there, and then it'll be, you know, presumably smuggled onto a flight and taken out of the country.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, because he gets through security, and then when he's on the other side of security, he sees the guy he's supposed to be meeting with, and that guy gets tackled by police, because there's a drug sniffing dog or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like when he gets to the other side, and he sees this all starting to go down, because what he does is he cuts and runs, right? Because he's like, oh shit, like the whole thing's about to blow up. I would just turn to the police officer and be like, I work here. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to go back, and then once you guys are done, I'll finish what I was doing, right? Because, like, if they have no reason, like, the dog has not yet sniffed the suitcase.
Right.
So just be like,
I'm just
going to turn around. Like, I'll just wait until you guys are done. Like, because the cops are going to be like, yeah.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We prefer you actually out of the way so that you don't get hurt.
And if the dog does, you just be like, oh, this was actually one of my, like, passengers. Like, they forgot it. I'm returning it. You know, like,
it just was in my van.
Like, you don't have to be like, whoop, they got me.
Gotta go. Yeah, no.
Gonna go hide in the swamp.
There's there's much better things to do than just going, well, I'm fucked, and then running, because then the cops go, damn, I wonder why that guy's running. Maybe we should get him too.
Yeah. A good way to get yourself arrested is to just run away from an active crime scene.
Yeah. Because that makes you very suspicious.
It does. It's pretty, yeah. Yeah, and then his okay. Also, one thing I will say about this. At times, this movie is, like, cartoonishly grim, right?
Yeah.
Because not only does his wife get murdered and his, like, pseudo-daughter get kidnapped, they make a point to tell you that his wife is actively pregnant, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like, oh, and how's the baby? And she's like, baby's good, right? And you're like, she's gonna die. And, you know, and it's like, they don't just murder her, they, like, stab her in the stomach.
Yeah.
To be like, not only is she dead, that ain't no baby no more. You know what I'm saying?
And then they burn her.
Yeah. This movie is, like, real mean. Like, cartoonishly mean.
It really is. Yeah. No, that was fucked up.
Yeah. I would honestly, like, I would never be in this situation in the first place.
No.
But if I was in that scenario where my daughter's been kidnapped and my wife's been murdered, you know?
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm in like this house and I'm like, I've been asleep for 2 weeks. I would just roll into the ocean. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna like try.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, same. I mean, props to Sam for trying.
Yeah. Good on him.
But I mean, I guess it makes sense because, you know, he already kind of is a criminal, so it's like,
that's
all right,
true.
What's a few more crimes to get my daughter
what's
back?
a few more murders, you know? One thing I do find funny. So he's like looking for his daughter, right? And he because the main criminal guy has like this right-hand man.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like trying to track him down and he ends up at this mansion, right? And because the guy's like having a party and he's like, I'm going to go like get this guy, right? And his first move is to like sneak into the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, again, this guy has like the worst instincts. Because like as soon as one of the kitchen staff turns and sees him, his first thing he does is do a murder. Like,
He's like, oh, you saw me.
You saw me stab. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, bro.
Like you could just very easily be like, oh, sorry, wrong door.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and they just be like, okay.
Whatever.
I just work here. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Like what? So yeah, the thing with like the cook is like,
yeah.
Sure, he's getting paid by the criminals,
Yeah.
but he might not be a criminal himself.
Right.
He's just like some guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to pay rent.
Yeah, and he's like, this man's attacking me.
And I'm dead now.
And now I'm dead, and I didn't do anything.
I literally was just cooking some like tartare or whatever.
Exactly.
And now I'm toast.
Yeah. Also, and this is a theme too in Monkey Man, right?
Yeah.
When he like goes up the stairs, he encounters like all these men having sex with all these like sex workers, right?
Yeah.
And he like bursts in one of the rooms, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm like doing sex work,
balls deep right now."
And like a similar thing happens in Monkey Man.
Yeah.
And like in a way, you're like, okay, whatever, it's funny or whatever. But I'm also like, if I was, having sex with a sex worker. And I'm not supposed to be there, and a man has just opened the door and is staring at me, that would be my exact reaction. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like,
yeah. No, it was a very valid reaction.
It's a valid reaction, I think. And then that guy blows up, which was fun.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about when the guy got his head
blown off?
Shot? Yeah. Yeah, that was... That was graphic.
It is. You don't really see it.
No.
Like it kind of cuts away as he explodes.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm just saying, if a man has a sawed-off shotgun in your face, just keep your hands up.
Yeah.
Just don't even try to get the gun away.
Yeah. Just be like, you won? You got it?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna stand over here.
Yep. And you know what? I'll close my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cover my ears. Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Just don't kill me.
Yeah. Because this movie, it's not like action heavy.
No.
I would say like there's that scene at the start where he's like running away.
Yeah.
There's like a little Muay Thai action, like sort of halfway through. And then the last third is kind of like 2 action sequences. So there's like when he's in the mansion, and then later when he just tears his way through this like shrimp warehouse. And I would say like in that when he's in the mansion, he fights a couple of bodyguards and stuff. There's some good action in that, right?
Yeah.
It's like him like, smacking some dudes. There's one point where he puts a guy's head through some glass.
Yeah.
And then he like drags him through it.
Yeah.
Which is upsetting.
Yeah.
Good stunt work on that one. It's very
fantastic.
believable.
Oh, yeah.
Brutal way to go.
Oh, yeah.
There's another guy who like falls on some glass.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's good fun.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah. No, I did really enjoy the action.
Yeah.
Especially that final one in the shrimp warehouse. It was shrimp and drugs. They were just like violating the shrimp horribly by shoving drugs up their ass or whatever.
That's a restaurant I'd go to. Shrimp and drugs.
Shrimp and drugs. And of course, in classic criminal fashion, they had, children handling
Oh yeah, of course.
horrible narcotics
Yes.
and whatever.
Yeah.
Saves them all though. That's like the one bright side of this whole movie.
That's true.
Is that he saved all those damn kids.
He does save all those kids. Yeah, and we'll just get to it because there's not, again, like I said, there's not a ton to talk about with this movie. One thing I did want to say. So if you were watching this movie, did the action remind you of another movie, a different film?
A little. Fuck, but I can't remember.
Well, I was gonna say, does it remind you of The Raid at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's got some raidness to it, and I was curious about that, so I looked it up. The fight coordinator on this film is actually one of the guys who helped out on The Raid.
Oh yeah.
So he's this man named Jude Poyer, and he actually he was one of the showrunners on this movie, or not this movie, this show called Gangs of London, which the other showrunner was Gareth Evans, who is the director on the Raid films. So that's why it's kind of all like it's like, I would say this movie is sort of like mini The Raid, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's got shades of it, but it's not the whole thing. It's just like those two action sequences kind of feel like The Raid.
Yeah.
And that's why, because the one of the same fight coordinators. So
well, there you go.
That's good. That's good stuff.
It is. It's very good stuff.
What do you think about? So well, anyway. So
Yeah.
So they're at the shrimp and drugs.
Your local shrimp.
Shrimp and drugs, and he has it's the classic thing, right? He like goes down this hallway, and then all of a sudden there's 20 dudes in his way, right?
Yeah, I did like that shot because it like starts at the end and the camera just starts backing up, and as it starts passing doors, 2 new guys come out,
yes,
and then 2 come out, and it kept going. Like at first I was like, okay, 2 guys, okay, whatever, and then the next 2 I was like, okay, 4, he's got this, and then 6, and I was like, okay, that's a lot of dudes, and then 8, and I was like, are we sure he's got this?
Yeah, and it's that classic thing where they like look at each other for a minute, and then all the criminals are like, bah!
and then they go nuts.
That's a good start to it, right?
Yeah,
and I think the movie does a good job of like, it's not believable, but it is like you buy into that he could fight off 8 guys, right? Because he does a good job of like, he'll dispatch one, and then he's got 2 of them on him, and he's like clacks their heads together or whatever. That's a good time. And then he makes it to the elevator, right? And when he gets on the elevator, there's like 4 guys on the elevator with him, right?
Yeah.
One of them's got a gun, one has a knife, and boy, do I tell you, they all end up inside someone.
Guns are in people and knives have been shot. It's crazy.
It is insane. Like it is, at one point, there's a knife through someone's arm, and then the bone of that guy's arm is through another guy's arm.
Yeah.
And they're like a human kebab.
Yeah.
And like you said, a man gets stabbed in the neck with an arm bone.
Yeah. And it's not like they were holding the arm bone and stabbed him.
Yeah.
The arm bone was still inside the arm.
It is gnarly as all get out.
Gross.
And I think it's impressive to actually have a movie where the lead gets like fucked up.
Yeah. Oh no, I did appreciate that. Like, because like a lot of time, like in John Wick, right?
Yeah.
Like he gets fucked up a little bit, but not like horribly.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Like after the whole. So first of all, he should have just been dead.
Oh
after
well,
the elevator.
Yeah.
I guess he just was living out of spite.
Yeah.
And I like that he walked in because it was like final boss moment.
Yeah.
It was the original French dickhead that hired him to do whatever and stole his kid.
So I thought you were gonna say stole his wallet.
Yeah.
This whole thing is just him trying to get his MasterCard back.
Yeah. No, stole his kid and killed his wife.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and he takes like one swing and like falls over.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. And then they fight. Kind of. It's mainly him just flailing around and he gets pinned.
Falling on the floor.
Yeah, and then falling on the floor. And then, he's laying there. And I'm like, yeah, this dude's gonna die. Like, this is it, GG's. Mm-hmm. And then the camera, like, we get, like, him laying, and he looks at his arm with the arm bone sticking out. I'm like, and like I said at the beginning, I was just like, don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
No.
There's other things you could do. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And he just takes that bitch and...
Bang! Yeah.
Yeah. It was real gross.
It's real gross.
He probably has a horrible infection after that.
Oh, yeah.
And that arm will not heal properly.
No, I was going to say, I like to imagine he takes it to a doctor after this, and the doctor's like, what did you do?
What happened?
What? I can't fix this.
Yeah.
Just take it off.
Yeah, I got a bone saw right here. We'll just,
just bang, I was telling... and also, the twist is... We kind of said it at the start. The friend, it turns out, had the daughter the whole time.
Yeah.
And so the like drop in the stomach moment is when you realize he did all that for nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because like he could have just been like, go get her from that guy.
Yeah.
And the revelation is that guy like loved his wife the whole time. And he's like, I loved her more than you ever could, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he kills himself. So
yeah, there you
go. But I'm also like, if I see this guy rocking up, right, who's basically a corpse at this point, right? He's got bones sticking out. He can't walk. He can't do nothing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, bang, like, it's just, what are you going to do? Like,
yeah, you dodge this, bitch.
Yeah, you can't. You can barely walk,
Yeah.
I don't understand why he's just like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, I also don't get that. We also said this too about the friend, though, is that he's just kind of a bitch. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that he didn't do anything because he's a coward.
He is a coward.
And a motherfucker. And so I was kind of hoping that Sam would shoot him.
Yeah.
Just right in his stupid face.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
No. I think it's kind of fitting that he shoots himself. Yeah. And you don't see it. It happens in the background. But
yeah.
Yeah. And then he walks off with his daughter, which like... It's supposed to be kind of a happy ending, but it's also like, oh God.
Yeah, it's rough. The mom's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a grim film.
Yeah, really rough.
It is really rough. One thing I enjoy about this kind of movie, and I was telling my wife this morning, I like when you go on to like this movie or Taken or something like that, and you're reading reviews. I saw one this morning. It was this guy. He's like, great movie, I would do the same thing if someone took my daughter.
Sure you would, buddy.
Sure, pal. Yeah.
Whatever helps you sleep at
whatever.
night.
I'm like, no, you I'm sure you think you could, but like you can't be doing like
when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
No, you couldn't.
No, you couldn't. Like the average person, if you tried to be like like go to a criminal's house and be like, give me my daughter back, they'd be like, no. And also I'm gonna shoot you in the face. You know, like there's no like
it's you gotta also remember that like the main character is also a criminal.
Yeah.
Like he's killed people previously.
Right.
Like he's fine with this.
Yeah, and he's also exhibited that he can, fight. Like he's an MMA fighter, The
average person would probably puke upon killing their first person.
Yeah.
And either kill themselves or turn themselves in.
Most people...
I fucked up. I didn't want to do this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Most people could not handle being punched in the face, let alone
there's a reason in D&D a commoner only has like 3 hit points.
Yeah.
Because if you get hit hard enough, you just die.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, I know. I would be like if somebody kidnapped my daughter or whatever, I'd be like, I'd love to go get her, but I'm going to let the cops do it because I'd be turned into paste, like
yeah. And they have other resources to
they've got, like cameras and guns and stuff.
What do I have?
Nothing.
I have 0 things.
A shovel and a shovel and a dream.
Yeah.
That was almost a joke.
Almost.
Ugh.
But yeah, the average person couldn't do shit.
No.
I think it's funny that y'all think you could, but
yeah, I just love that dudes have that ego where they're like, I do the same thing.
I could do it.
That's how I'd feel.
I could do it in less time.
Yeah, I actually I was at the Navy SEAL boot camp. Actually, I didn't pass, but I was there.
They kicked me out.
I kept up.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
The instructor told me I could have been a contender.
Yeah.
I was actually all American in high school. Football.
But I got my Achilles ruptured.
Yeah, bad shoulder. Yeah.
So I couldn't. But trust me, bro. Trust me.
I've seen every Bad Boys film.
Yeah.
People.
I love delusional people. They're
I
so
do too.
funny.
They're a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, got anything else to say about Mayhem?
No.
Okay.
I like yeah, it was in French.
Yes.
And I was like, oh fuck. Santi didn't say it was gonna be in French or not. Oh no.
I kind of forgot it was in French.
Yeah. And so but I mean it's fine. And then there's also a little bit of Thai.
Yes.
Which is a gorgeous language.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, fuck, dude, it is so easy to make your movie look beautiful when it is set in Thailand.
I know.
It's just like every shot, you're like, God damn.
I know. It's really a gimme. Like,
yeah.
Like, you have to like actively try and make it look bad.
Yeah.
And even then, that's hard.
Yeah. Like, even when they're in the slummy,
Yeah.
He's like walking down that like,
oh, the red light district.
Red light district. I'm like, damn, this is a nice looking street.
So
like,
good.
Got all the neon and
Yep.
like all the little shacks that are selling
Yep.
stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, just a good time.
Yeah.
The red light district looked like a good time. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I would never.
I would
be too scared.
Me too. I would be so nervous.
Yeah, I'd be like, I've had this conversation with my wife, and this is gonna make me sound like the lady doth protest too much, but I've always joked that like I would never like run around on my wife, you know, especially like with like a sex worker, because I'm like I wouldn't even know how to engage that conversation. Like, what do? You just roll up and you're like, one, please, you know?
Yeah, can I get the
do you have a menu or what's your hourly, you know?
Do you have appetizers?
Do you have a CV?
Yeah. You have a CV.
Is there a qualification thing that I should read, you know?
Do you need my CV?
Yeah, do I have to come with references, you know? Like, how do you even... It's the same thing with like a strip club. Like, I've never gone to a strip club, and the main reason is the second I'd walk in the door, I wouldn't even know what to do, you know? I'd be like, what do I is this like an hourly? Do I pay you up front? You know, do I have to ask before I put it in the thong? Like,
may I please put
put this dollar bill in your thong? What's a standard tip, you know? Like,
are we doing 20%?
Like, what's the charge for the buffet? You know, like, do I eat first and then go, you know?
What's the procedure?
Yeah, like, am I getting a lap dance while I eat my lobster tail? I don't know what the...
You got like a plate of nachos.
Yeah.
And you just, like, you got ass.
Yeah.
Just right in your face. And you're chowing down
just,
on
like, can you hold on? Yeah.
I'm fucking up these nachos.
I'm fucking up these nachos. In Albuquerque, there's a strip club franchise called TD's.
Yeah.
Right? Which, like, haha, sounds like titties. It's a good joke. But there's one, like, right on the main highway, right? Like, on I-25.
Oh, is it right next to the Texas Roadhouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you're driving, they've got, like, their billboard.
Yep.
And I get so much joy out of seeing whoever, like, the featured performer is, right? Mm-hmm. My favorite one so far has been Bridget the Midget, which is...
That's pretty good.
Self-proclaimed. That I know that's not a nice word to use, but that's her name. Yeah. And one time I remember I Googled Bridget the Midget, and the first like result was like adult performer Bridget the Midget arrested for assault. I'm like, oh damn.
Damn.
Bridget's falling on hard times.
I know.
Anyway.
Yeah, I could never go to a strip club.
No.
Or a red light.
No, I wouldn't even know how to broach that topic.
Do you know that some strippers have like business cards?
Yeah, I believe that. Because when you go to Vegas, like Las Vegas, you know, there'll be like the showgirls walking around.
Oh yeah.
When you're just walking around, you'll see like their cards like on the floor.
Yeah.
And I picked one up once, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it was actually a card for like a legal brothel, because there's like those not in Vegas proper, but in like whatever county where it's legal. There's like the whatevers.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
That's Vegas for you, baby.
Yeah. There's on TikTok, there's this woman that actually works at, they call it a ranch.
Yeah.
And she'll just get on and like answer questions and like talk about like the business side of things and like how all that's run. It's fascinating.
Yes.
Could never do it.
No.
Partake or work for, but it's really cool.
Yeah. It's a the fact that not to get into this, but the fact that prostitution in the US is like illegal when it could just be like a regulated industry is insane to me.
Like, just make them pay taxes and you're fine.
Yeah, pay taxes, get a license. Like, you gotta, work for a thing. Like,
think about this, right? So my parents, they work for the government.
Yeah.
They have to do drug tests. Every so often, right?
Right.
It's just like part of their job.
Yeah.
Well, okay, do the same thing.
Yeah.
Just in like for STD testing.
Right.
Right. You mandate STD testing.
Right.
And I mean, there you go.
It's the oldest profession in the world, right? And it's like, it's not that, like, if we're talking about regulating vices or whatever, it's no different than how like weed is regulated, right? You have a dedicated space for it.
Yep.
You have people who are licensed and can, bond it and can do all that shit.
Yep.
They got to pay taxes. You just, you get hours and insurance and you treat it like a normal job. You take all the danger out of it and all of a sudden, anyway. It's just dumb. The U.S. is dumb.
U.S. is very dumb.
We're a stupid country.
Yeah.
Run by a stupid man.
Yeah.
I mean, that could apply for either president.
Honestly.
Stupid ass.
We've been run by stupid men for 200 plus years.
Yeah, 200 plus years. We've had we've had one smart man. That's not even. No. We've had a lot of stupid men.
Yeah. I think about this sometimes. Our country was built by like 20 somethings.
Yes.
When you think about our founding fathers, they were in their 20s.
20s and 30s, yeah.
Like, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were a bunch of punk-ass kids.
I know. You see pictures of George Washington, and you're like, oh, he's like this, proper, stoic guy. And you're like, that guy was like 28.
Yeah.
With his powdered wig.
He barely knew what he was doing.
I know. Anyway.
Whatever.
All right. Well, that's been Mayhem.
Yeah.
Before we go, would you recommend somebody watch this movie?
If they can handle the grimness and the gore and stuff, yeah.
Okay, I agree. I'm with you. We'll give a rating at the end. We'll do both movies.
Okay.
But for now, that's where we'll do it.
Sick.
All right, on to Monkey Man.
얘기해봐, 좋아.
I'm assuming I inserted some sort of audio there. Okay. Monkey Man, Grayson.
Yes.
Is a 2024 action film directed by Dev Patel with a script by Patel, Paul Angunawala, and John Coley. The film stars Dev Patel as a man simply known as Kid, with support from Sikandar Kher, Shalto Copley, Pito Bash, and Vipin Sharma. Monkey Man carries an 89% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, with an 83% audience score.
Interesting.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
On a budget of around $10 million, the film brought in around $35 million at the global box office, so cleaned up pretty handily.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, because I thought about it and I didn't think that this movie had passed the Bechdel test. But if you go to BechdelTest.com, which if anybody's ever interested in whatever, they have just this huge registry of movies, and you can click on pretty much any movie and there will be like a rating on whether or not it passes the Bechdel test.
Gotcha.
And according to Ernest Paris, a user on BechdelTest.com, Monkey Man does indeed pass the Bechdel test, and the reasoning being the character of Sita, who works for Queenie, interacts with Queenie. They're both female characters. They interact briefly, and they have a discussion about the line of work that they partake in. So technically, it does pass.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Very cool.
I just kicked you.
Yeah, you did.
Finally, the plot synopsis from IMDb. An anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and the powerless. Ba-da-da.
Very topical.
Very topical. Grayson, what'd you think of this movie?
I really liked it.
Oh, fuck, it's so good.
I really, really liked it. I stayed for a little bit of the credits.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dev Patel, man, he just he did everything.
Yeah, he really did.
He did it all.
We'll talk about like how this movie was made, but yeah.
What else has he been in? Because I love him.
Dev Patel?
Yeah.
He's been in all kinds of stuff. This was his directorial debut. So he's never directed a film before.
First
I know.
of all,
really, honestly.
holy shit.
As a film, this is shocking that it's somebody's debut because it's very well made.
Yeah.
No, he's been in all kinds of. So he got famous for Slumdog Millionaire.
I've never seen it.
But that was like his debut thing, and then he was in that show Skins, which is that British television show. He was also in The Green Knight kind of recently. He was in Lion. I don't know if you've ever seen Lion. It's very possible you've just never seen anything with him in it.
Probably.
I'm trying to think.
I've heard of Slumdog Millionaire. I've just never seen it.
It's good. I'm trying to think of something else. This is not typical for like he's not an action movie guy. This is his first like action role.
Wow.
He's talked before about how like in the U.S. film industry, like it's you don't often see like Asian men in these kinds of roles. So
he's a beautiful man.
He is a beautiful man. He's I think he's got a black belt in Taekwondo.
Holy shit, that's pretty nice.
And that's kind of what inspired him to make this film.
Right.
So, but yeah, this is his directorial debut. It's his action debut. But yeah, he's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
I think he's great.
Oh no, he did a really fantastic job, and all the action was incredible.
Yeah,
it was all really good.
It is very good, and I think this movie is surprising because it has a lot more in it than I think you'd expect. Like when you see the trailer, it kind of strikes you as just like a John Wick clone, and it's not that like at all. No. It is very, very different, especially because he is not a competent like fighter.
No, not even. He fights dirty.
Yes, he is like an animal, and we'll talk about like the imagery and the sort of the mythology of this movie, but he literally fights like a monkey man. Like he's biting people constantly.
Yep.
He's scratching and clawing and he's like a madman, but he's like not like the first half of this movie is him planning to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And then when he gets a chance to do it, he completely fucks it up.
Oh yeah, he goofs it hard. He eventually gets there.
He does.
But it could have gone a lot smoother.
Yeah, and he goofs it up hard, and then the rest of that scene is him running away. Which is it's a good time. But it's much more, and it's got a lot more to say, I think, than your typical action movie. Like this might shock everyone, and you can call it woke and whatever. This movie's got things to say.
It does.
Can you believe it? This piece of art has themes.
Art has never said anything
It's never said anything ever.
Historically, art has never had meaning.
No, it's just pretty lights and sounds.
That's it. That's all art is.
But
if you can't tell, we're being sarcastic.
Sarcasm. It's new, I know.
This newfangled sarcasm.
I can't believe this movie made in India has themes. Anyway. Yeah. So like I mentioned, this movie was made for $10 million. Originally, this was slated to be on Netflix. And
that makes sense.
Interestingly, Netflix was actually going to shelve it. And the reason is, to take it all the way back. So from what I read, Dev Patel had this idea originally in like 2014.
Wow.
And he said that it came from, he had just like this idea of like a man in a rubber monkey mask, like in like a cage fight, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, I like that idea. I'll see where I go with it, right? So he like wrote the script. He like did some casting and whatever. And you know, as movies go, the process took a long time. Well, when they had finally geared up and gotten ready to shoot it, it was 2020. And as we all know, nothing happened in 2020.
Yeah, not a single damn thing happened.
No global events happened that year.
Nope, it was uneventful.
It was uneventful. So for no reason whatsoever, they couldn't shoot the movie that year. And they actually ended up moving. So originally it was slated to be shot in India.
Nice.
And they ended up moving it just because of how the thing that didn't happen in 2020 did not affect the country of India at all. But for those of you who don't know what jokes are, I'm talking about COVID.
Yeah, which 100% did happen.
It did happen. And it did a number on India and its film industry. And so they moved the production to Indonesia. So this movie was actually shot on an island in Indonesia. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it was fraught with just like issues. Like,
really?
I think it was on like the second day of filming. Dev Patel broke his foot.
Oh God!
So a stuntman dropped, because you know there's that scene at like the brothel, and he's fighting that guy with the axe.
Oh yeah.
Stuntman dropped the axe on his foot and broke it.
Damn.
I think he also broke his arm during production.
Oh God.
They ran out of money at one point, and so Dev Patel was actually shooting some of this movie like with his iPhone. And you can actually see there's a scene where he's with the, I think they're called the Haraji or the Haraj, and he's in that temple. And the guru is like showing him that tree.
Yeah.
A bunch of that is shot on his iPhone. Like you can really tell because it's like not focused. Like you can see his iPhone like readjusting the focus.
Yeah.
So I just find that interesting. But anyway, so they had this troubled production, finally finished the movie, and then Netflix like watched it and they were like, this has got some themes in it. And our Indian audience is not going to like it, right? Because, you know, not to spoil anything, but this movie's not super kind about the Indian government. And they were like, let's just quietly try to sell this movie to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And so Dev Patel was like, all right, like, just give it back, right? Like, give it back to me. And he showed it to Jordan Peele, who is a famous film director, horror director. He made Get Out and Us, and
he's also second half of Key and Peele.
Yeah, second half of Key and Peele, the comedy duo.
Yeah.
And he saw it and he was like, what the fuck was this going to go to streaming for? And so he actually partnered with Universal and they put it in theaters. So
when I saw, because like I was saying, I was watching the credits and I saw Jordan Peele and I went, no. And so I looked it up and sure enough, Jordan, I was like, sick as hell. It's
through his Monkey Paw Productions.
Yep.
Jordan Peele at this point has not missed.
No.
I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
Like, if you've not seen... So, Get Out is obviously incredible. If you haven't seen Nope, I suggest everybody go watch Nope. Nope is my favorite Jordan Peele movie. It fucking fucks. That movie fucking slaps. That guy doesn't miss. Anyway... And he did not miss with this, because this deserved to be in theaters. I saw it in the theater. This is actually my third time I've seen this movie.
Wow.
I fucking love it. I think I own it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just a baller of a film.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's about it's about a lot of stuff.
It is.
And yeah, it's not super nice to the Indian government.
No, but I mean, when you get angry citizens of a country, they're gonna make shit that says something about it.
Yeah. And I should say too, Dev Patel was not born in India, right? And he's faced some criticism for this, which I think is unwarranted. He was born in the UK, right? He's a British actor.
Yeah.
But his heritage is Indian, right? And he spent a lot of time there. He like, you know, I think he has a right to like, you know, make movies about his own identity, right? Even if he wasn't technically born there.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I just think this movie fucks.
Oh yeah. It's very good.
It fucking fucks.
I love it's when he's starting his full murder campaign.
Yeah.
And like I think it's like elevator doors open or something, and he's standing there in his suit and the monkey mask. Oh man, that was good.
I will say,
I would have shit myself.
Oh, me too. Yeah. This is one of those movies where, and I've said this before, if I'm a goon, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I work for this guy, and nobody's getting through this door, right? And I see that guy coming, I'm like, never mind, go ahead.
Right after you. Yeah, no, it was... I also love when he goes back to the ring.
Yeah.
And he's up against that, like... I don't know, like the snake... I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But he's like the Viper or whatever dumb name he has. I like it that it was 2 hits.
Yeah.
It was Dev Patel hitting him and the guy hitting the floor. And that was it.
Yeah.
And because at the beginning, right, we see him, he's in this ring and he's kind of throwing fights to make money and to make everybody else money. And he's like a decent fighter and like he could win, but people are telling him, no, you got to throw it so I can make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And he fought that guy once, and that guy's like a tool. Like, he's like, oh, I'm the best, I'm whatever. And the commentator, the guy that puts on everything, first of all, he's Australian. Incredible.
He's South African, but yes.
Yeah. He sounded Australian.
He's South African.
Okay.
We'll talk. His name's Sholto Copley. He's been in all kinds of stuff. He's in if anybody's seen the movie District 9, he's in that. He's in Chappie. He's just a famous it's that guy, you know.
Yeah.
But he is South African.
Okay.
My favorite line, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, you're good.
He's like, "We under this roof we all worship one god, the Indian rupee."
Yeah, I did like that. That was real. And then the crowd goes.
He's giving a hell of a performance.
Yeah. No, he's super charismatic. But yeah, he introduces all of the fights and everything. And when Dev Patel just knocks that dude's lights out.
Yeah.
Silence.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know what about all of that was, but it just it hit different.
Yeah.
It hit so different. Because then he was like, well, I guess the monkey wins. And then they brought out that really big guy.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of the fight in
John Wick 3?
No.
Oh.
Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah. And he's on his back and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is very Princess Bridey.
Yes.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
Still kicks that dude's ass.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Which is funny.
I love this movie. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, fuck, I love this movie.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to talk about it too, I think it is a great example of where I think action movies are going and where I hope they go, which is that they got a little bit of something to them, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Because I think one thing I really like about this movie is it has such a dreamlike quality to it.
Yes.
Right? Like there's all these moments where he really takes the time to make these sort of mythological shots of because the whole thing is supposed to be, there is sort of this analogy between Kid and Hanuman, which is the monkey god in Hindu mythology. And there's sort of these shots where Dev Patel's character will be wearing the monkey mask and he's reaching for a light, or there's these shots of him just doing whatever. And it's sort of this analogy for how men become heroes and people become myth. And it's but it never tells you any of that.
No.
It does a good job of letting the visuals tell the story. Yeah, and like I said, it's nice because it's nice to have an action movie that's got something to say. It's just
got a little something extra.
It's got some, and it gives you action with characters you don't normally see kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know, the ending of the movie, which is the best action sequence in the whole thing.
So good.
When Dev Patel is storming this party, and it's this penthouse, right? And he's working his way up. He gets some help from these like masked like transgender women
Yep.
who are like wielding like size or
Yeah.
what do they call them? Not size. Scythes. Like sickles, right?
Yeah.
And they're all dressed like Shiva, like the destroyer of worlds.
Yep.
And I just want to give a shout out that action sequence where they're all like tearing up dudes in that thing. The soundtrack is by a band called Bloody Wood, who is an Indian metal band. And I want everyone to go look them up because they fuck.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That song is called, I think it's called Donna Don. Fuck, it fucks. I might include a little clip of it at the end. It's such a good fucking song.
It's very good.
But there's just this great moment where like he comes out of the elevator and he like shoots the firework or whatever.
Yep.
And then it just like explodes into heavy metal. And it's like, you don't see heavy metal used a lot anymore in movies. And that was the best fucking use of it I've seen in forever.
So good. Yeah, I really like the myth.
Yeah.
Of Hanuman and all of that. It was just like a gorgeous story.
Yeah.
And I loved all of the imagery of like, and sort of like the paralleling of like kid and then this story. It was just so good.
Yeah. And I like so a big part of this movie is so kid goes down, right? And he gets like fucked up, right? And he falls in the river. And when he wakes up, he's in this temple. And this temple is run by, and I think they're called, I'm going to look it up. I think they're called Haji, or Hiraji or something like that. And it is this, because one thing we can't understand in the US, India and like Indian society, a lot of it is still run by like a caste system, right?
Yeah.
And they are this, we would say transgender, right? It's like, they're people who are born with male sex and then adopt a female identity, right? And so we would call it that. But India has recognized this group of people as like almost like a third gender, right?
Huh.
So it's sort of like, and I'm butchering all this, and just know that this is very complicated.
Yeah.
But the thing that's similar between India and the US is they are viewed as sort of like third class citizens, right? And so we get this temple with these people in it, and it's this wonderful sort of, not even an analogy, it's kind of just outright, he is this outsider and they are also these outsiders, but there is sort of a lot of dignity given to those characters, right? Like they're not treated as like other or freakish or anything like that. They talk about how people perceive them that way, but at no point is the movie like, take a look at this pack of freaks, right?
Yeah.
It gives them a lot of like agency. And so at the end, when they're kicking ass, you're like, this fucking rocks.
Yeah.
Like, and it is sort of this, we're in this moment right now in the US where there is sort of becoming a little bit of class consciousness, and people are starting to wake up to, the rapidly approaching oligarchy that is happening.
The bullshittery. Yeah.
And so there is something powerful about this, like, uprising happening in this movie.
Yeah.
And having it be led in part by, people who are on the outskirts of society, people who have literally been tread upon, I don't know, I just think it fucks.
Oh no, it's very good. And I love his like little training montage, and I love the guy with the drum.
Yes.
That dude knew what was up.
That guy fucks.
Yeah. The whole training montage, I think I really like the addition of the drummer.
Yes.
Because it like, I don't know, it kind of added like not suspense, but it just built tension.
Yeah.
Which was really nice.
So, sorry, I just wanted to say, the word I was trying to, it's Hydra. Hijra, Hydra. And it's a word used to, like I said, describe sort of people who are either transgender, intersex. Those are kind of words that we use to describe it. But
gotcha.
Anyway, Yeah, the guy with the drum is incredible. I love that whole montage where he's like, getting his strength back, and the guy's like, drumming along. That's a good time.
I also love that he stole a bunch of money and then just gave it to him in the bag.
Yeah. He's like finally using his powers for good.
Yeah.
What'd you think about, so his name, the actor's name is Pito Bash. He's like Cher, just has one word.
Yeah.
His name is Alfonso. He's like the little guy.
Oh yeah, I loved him. He was funny. I was a little unsure about him at the beginning, but he grew on me.
Yeah,
he was funny.
He's a fun character.
Yeah.
I like that he's named his rickshaw Nicky.
Oh,
she's got a big bumper and nice headlights.
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj, which I thought was funny.
I love that they souped that thing up.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah.
I think a little dragster.
I love the trope in any movie where there's a car chase with like a little dinky car.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, same. And especially if they like deck it out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're like looking at it and you're like, that's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like that, like if I look at it wrong, it's just going to fall apart.
That thing gets fucked up too.
Oh yeah. But then they like floor it and it's got like a turbo and all that shit.
I love it.
No, that's good shit.
But yeah, he's a fun character. He's got a real like, he's just there to have really time.
He really is.
He's just there to snort coke and hang out with babes.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought Queenie was a good character too.
Yes, she's very interesting. Gets fucked up.
Yeah. Rightfully so. But,
oh yeah.
And then the fight at the top of the penthouse with that politician guy.
Yeah.
It was very like if anybody's seen Star Wars Rebels, it's that it kind of reminded me of that scene between Obi-Wan and Maul.
Yeah.
Where it was very quick, very efficient. Now, this wasn't like that efficient and that quick, but it was still like they like just had a conversation and then they fought, but it ended quick.
Yeah. I'm just like, what was his plan? I get he's got the knife in his sandal or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you just saw that guy like murder all these men.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna try to stab him? Like,
right. And you technically successfully did.
Yeah.
But he got you better.
Yeah. That guy's crazy. You're gonna like I would just be like, hey, helicopter, just shoot him. You know? Why would you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It made zero sense. But I like that he got stabbed right.
Oh yeah.
Right where that little like, what is that? Do we know what that dot is called?
There's a name for it.
I forget what it's called. But I thought that was a very nice symbol.
Yeah.
Of just getting stabbed right there.
Bindi.
A
bindi.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
What is it? Do we know what it's for?
It's a religious thing. It's a Hindu.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Well, one thing. It's not one thing. It's like the thing.
The thing. The entire thing.
Well, just to bring it back for a second.
Yeah.
What I love about that final scene too, that is like the definition of like simpler is better.
Yeah.
When it comes to set design.
Yep.
Right. That whole set is so just an amazing visual. Like it's just this one pool.
Yeah.
And it's like a sort of single light source, but then there's that beautiful mural on the wall. God, and again, it reinforces this like mythological kind of imagery and storytelling that the movie's using. It just looks incredible. But it's like, if they had filled it with too much, it wouldn't have worked. But because it's such a simple set.
And I'm glad it was like dark at night.
Yes.
Because again, that single light source.
Yeah.
The light source would have been the sun.
Right. It makes for good shadows and
Mm-hmm. It was really good.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
But what I was going to say, so kind of the theme of this movie, and it's the reason that I think Netflix was afraid to like put it out to like the wider Indian audience. Mm-hmm. It is really like hypercritical of like Hindu nationalism.
Yeah.
Which like, I can't sit here and like criticize another culture's like religion, right?
Same.
But if I can make an analogy, in the US, we have a little thing called Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what's interesting about it is it goes out of its way. And because I think one thing as Westerners, we have this perception of like gurus, right? These guys who like, they talk about like peace and meditation and being one with nature and blah, blah, blah. And this movie goes out of its way to show you that like those dudes are no different than like any other power hungry person, right? Like he might be all this whatever about peace and love and blah, 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 but he's still forcing people out of their homes to build temples and like, you know, he's still murdering people and endorsing violent, you know, candidates and using police brutality to enforce his will.
Yeah.
And it's this thing of like, you know, at the one thing I think it's nice is like it criticizes this like idea that we have of like religious figures being these like untouchable, peaceful, you know, whatever. And it's like,
no.
Again, if we could pull an analogy, this is not dissimilar from like what we see with like these mega church, you know, pastors and these televangelists who like they're preaching this message of whatever, but at the end of the day, they're just trying to line their pockets, right?
Yep.
And grease the palms of the government.
Yep.
And I just love that there's a movie that is like willing to put that out there, right? Like, and I you know, like whether you agree with this or not, I appreciate that the movie's like solution is violence.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know, it's like these guys, like they're not good for society, right? Like,
and they're not gonna listen to reason because they're so set in their ways that there's no amount of reasoning that's gonna change their mind.
Right.
And so the only thing they understand is violence.
Yeah.
Because it's what they use to get what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the only thing they understand, well then we will use violence.
Yeah.
And that will make them understand.
I like that the movie doesn't shy away from like sometimes you have to fight back, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have to get dirty and cut a motherfucker, you know?
Yeah.
I appreciate that as a message, right? It's pretty pessimistic, but at the same time it's like it's interesting for a mainstream movie to be like rich people are all the same. Yep. Like it doesn't matter if you're, you know, a pastor, a guru or whatever. These people are not working for you, you know? No. And it's like, and again, I think it's bold to show that pipeline between these religious figures, these, you know, leaders in religious thought, and how they're intertangled with police, you know, brutality and with government, you know, mismanagement and all that. Like, I just think that's fascinating.
Oh no, it's very good, and it was very well done. I think Dev Patel did a really, really good job of doing all of that.
And again, good on him for like having something to say,
having
you know,
the balls to do it.
Yeah,
like that's a hard thing to do because, you know, when this movie was released, it could have gone a very different way.
Yeah.
Right. And like Dev Patel, I mean, he probably still did, but he probably, you know, he could have gotten slammed super hard and like blacklisted and all this. I haven't heard anything like in terms of that. And so, you know, it seemed like it was, even with the message that it did give and that Dev was able to tell, seemed like it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was received well. So yeah, no, shout out to him. I think that's, you know, it's a super noble thing to do.
Yeah.
And good on him.
Oh, and one thing this movie has a great soundtrack.
Oh, it's so good.
It fucks. It's a good mix of like sort of like Indian hip hop and heavy metal and some like sort of deep cut American hip hop songs, which I liked. Like there's The Devil Is a Lie by Rick Ross and Jay-Z in this movie, which fucks.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it has the line from Rick Ross, Fat Boy, wait, what is it? Go to Wingstop, Fat Boy, get a 10-piece, which I appreciate.
Yeah, A banger of a line.
That is a banger of a line. But anyway, do you have anything else to say about Monkey Man?
I just love the ring, the fight ring where you have to wear a mask.
Oh, yeah.
I love that shit.
I just want to know, how do you get involved in an underground fight ring? I see these in movies all the time, and I'm like, I've never encountered an underground fight ring.
It's probably one of these things where, like, you got to know a guy who knows a guy.
I guess.
I bet you if you went to, like, a seedy, like kickboxing studio or something, there'd probably be somebody there that, like, knows something about something.
Probably.
And so you just kind of have to, like, know the right guys and, like, ask the right questions.
But I as somebody who's real worried about, like, logistics, whenever I watch one of these movies where they're, like, at an underground fight ring or whatever, right, and people are placing their bets, and it's a lot of shouting, it's a lot of, like, blah, 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 you know, you're like, give me 10 on whatever. It's like, how do you get your money back, right? Like, do they give you a ticket and you turn it in? You know, do you just shout back at them, like, give me on?
I bet you it's ticket based.
I guess it must be.
It's either ticket based or, like, you remember when, like, that, like, little kid goes and he, like, dumps all that money at the counter.
Yeah.
I bet you can do that too, right? Because they probably advertise who's going to fight.
Yeah.
And so you can probably either place your bets beforehand at that counter and then they'll give you a ticket, or you can do it during. Yeah. And I bet you they still give you some sort of ticket or something.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, speaking of, I think one of the cooler scenes in the movie, there is that scene where he goes to buy a gun, and he goes to, like, the food stall, and he's like, I want a Raju special, and the guy, like, you know, gives it to the kid, and the kid, like, walks him through, like, the alleyways and whatever, and then he goes underground, and it's a fun turning on its head of that trope of, like, you know, like in John Wick 2, the sommelier who's got the whatever. Like, there's even the line where he says, like, it's the same gun that John Wick uses, you know, or whatever. And he's like, but made in China.
Yeah.
And I like that instead of getting, like, a nice fancy gun, he just opts for, like, a snub-nosed revolver.
Right.
Which is like, that's what you would use to get in close.
Right.
Yeah, I love that whole scene.
Oh, it's great.
Because, like, I like that trope, but then I also like turning the trope on its head a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, that was really fun.
I also like, because there's the setup of, like, he starts working for Queenie.
Yeah.
And he's kind of working his way through the ranks. And I think the setup of, like, how he gets the gun inside is fun.
Oh, it's really cool.
Like, you see him, like, befriending this dog.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, what's he doing with the, like, you know, you're like, is he, like, just, you know, is this his way of, like, coping? Like, he's messing with this dog or whatever. And then when it's revealed that he's using the dog to, like, get the gun inside, it's so good.
Oh, I was going to say, I love the dog thing. First of all, great choice of dog.
Yeah.
That thing was a damn cutie.
Oh, yeah.
But then, when he calls the dog and he comes running in and he pulls the gun out, I was like,
yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
I gotcha.
That's fun. Because you're thinking, like, how's he going to get the gun in? Like, is he just going to, like, go through and just kill everybody? Or is he just going to, like...
Because the movie, because we see him, like, go into the hotel several times, and it made the movie made a big deal about showing the metal detector.
Yeah.
As people were going through. And so when the time came, I was like, oh, it's going to show and it's going to go off, and this is where all the action is going to start.
Right.
But he walks through clean.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. How does he get the gun now? And it was the little puppy dog.
Yeah.
So
and speaking to, like, this being his first time as a director, like, good on you for following the basic rule of filmmaking, which is show, don't tell.
Yes.
Right? Because I feel like a lot of movies would, like, have a second character and they'd be like, what are you messing around with the dog for? And he'd be like, well, I'm actually using the dog to sneak the gun in through. And it's like, a good on you for trusting your audience enough to understand where that's going, you know?
Yep.
Because a lot of this movie, again, they don't, like you understand his motivation, right?
Yeah.
Without them ever having to be like, him go, I have to kill that guy because he killed my mom. You know,
Right.
They show you. You know, they they go out of their way to show you what you're supposed to think and care about.
Yeah.
Instead of just telling you, which is refreshing.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. Those flashbacks, where we kind of like understand like why he's doing this were, first of all, really rough.
Yeah.
But it, like you were saying, it does a really good job of us going, okay, yeah, so that guy's a bitch.
Yeah.
And I hope he dies. Spoiler alert, he does.
He does. He does. He gets it.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love those flashbacks are really well done.
Yeah.
And like, poor guy.
Yeah.
That shit
He's got a rough
sucks.
life.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's a good movie.
It's a very good movie. And that mask, I can't get over that mask. It's so like it's super well made, and it's just like, again, the elevator doors open. I just shit myself. I'd be like, you know what? You're good.
Yeah, you're fine.
Can I help you?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm on your side now.
Yeah.
Fuck these guys.
And I love
if these are what they're up against.
Yeah. I'm good.
I'm okay.
And I love the moment where he bleaches it.
Yeah.
Like there's the moment where he pulls it out and it's all like in slow motion. It's all
Yeah.
bleached. That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, this movie's real good at understanding what's fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
Metal music is cool.
It is cool. It's very cool.
Cool masks are cool.
Yeah, they are.
Violence is cool.
Fantastic movie.
Oh, I also love that he's just killing cops right away.
Oh, 100%.
Like straight up, he's just
Yeah.
murdering cops.
Dev Patel said a cab.
I thought about that this most recent time because he like briefly gets captured by some police,
Yeah.
and I feel like in a lot of movies they'd like go out of the way to be like, no, he just disarms them and runs away. I'm like, no, he's like murdering cops like straight away.
Yeah, he's
just shooting them in the face,
killing them.
Yeah, good time. Oh, this movie also has a brutal elevator fight,
Yeah, it does.
which is fun. What do you rate this movie out of 10? And then we'll do Mayhem after that.
I'm going to give it an even 9.
Hell yeah.
It's really good.
It is really good.
Yeah, I just even 9 kind of speaks for itself.
Hell yeah. I'm with you. I think I'm going to give it like an 8.5.
8.5.
And the only reason I dock any points at all, and this is such a ticky-tacky thing, I think it's just like a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Just like a little, like not enough that I'm like, this sucks, but just
Yeah.
like, there's a few scenes that drag. Like, I think that as much as I enjoy it, I think the montage of him like getting healthy again maybe goes a little too long.
I would agree, yeah.
Like makes the movie just feel just a smidgen too long.
Yeah.
But besides that, yeah, I can't really find a lot of fault with it.
Yeah.
And maybe the action might be just a little bit shaky. You know what I'm saying? Like how it's shot. I think it works for the movie, but it's just not my preferred
Yeah.
way things are shot.
Understandable.
All right. What about Mayhem?
I think I'm gonna have to go like a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll say like 6.75. We'll say 6.75.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like I said when we were first talking about it, it's good.
Yeah.
I think given the option, I would watch Monkey Man again. I may not go out of my way to watch Mayhem again. It just, I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah.
So
I'd give it like a 7.
7,
Maybe a 7.5.
7.5.
I think it's really solid and it's
Yeah.
well made and entertaining, but I think it's too grim.
Yeah.
Like it's just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And there's not much to it. I mean, it's pretty
Right.
it's pretty light.
It's very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Um.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I was going to say something else, but I was also going to say, I forgot to say this when we talked about Mayhem. The director of that film also directed Under Paris, which if anybody if that's not ringing any bells, it's the movie that was released on Netflix this year about the shark, the big shark that's under Paris. Anyway, that might surprise some people.
Wait, is that a real thing?
That's a real movie.
But like, is the shark real?
No.
In real? Okay.
No, it's
Okay.
just it's like a Jaws, like it's like a movie about a big shark.
It's
It's under Paris, yeah.
Okay.
Don't think about it too hard. It's just a movie about a big shark.
Fair enough.
It did really well, and it's getting a sequel.
It did really well?
It did really well, and it's getting a sequel.
Sharknado all
So
over again.
I just love that guy made 2 movies this year, and one's about a big shark under Paris.
But Paris, it doesn't
I don't know.
float on a...
I don't know. I didn't make the movie. I haven't seen it either. I just know what it's about.
I'm just expressing my confusion.
Well, don't think about it.
It's too late. I thought about it too hard.
Yeah.
And now my brain hurts.
Big shark.
Big shark under Paris.
Big shark under Paris.
Great.
Anyway.
Stop giving sharks bad name.
Yeah.
They're just dumb fish.
Yeah. They're just fish.
Yeah.
And they don't even like humans.
Yeah. They don't know any better.
They don't.
If you're a surfer, you look like a seal.
More people die by hippos than they do sharks.
Yeah. Hippos are malicious.
More people are killed by bees than sharks.
Yeah. Leave the dumb fish alone.
More people are killed by mosquitoes than sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks, and most of the time when you're bit by a shark, you don't die.
Right.
You're lucky if you lose a limb.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, like you said, they think you're a seal.
Yeah.
So they'll take a bite and then be like, oh, you're not a seal, and let you go. Because
Right.
they're like, I don't want that. Whatever that is.
It's gross. Yeah. Anyway, where's my seal?
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway.
leave sharks alone.
Leave sharks alone.
They're kind of cute.
They are cute. If you're getting bit by a shark, just punch it in the nose.
Well, yeah. And also, like any hostile animal that's not going to aggro, like, on sight.
Yeah.
Like, okay, bees, right? If you notice, right, if you're out and about and you notice a couple of bees are being particularly, like, bothersome and they're, like, headbutting you and they're bumping into you, but they're not stinging you.
Yeah.
They are warning you, hey, man, you're a little close to our nest. Mind giving us a little wide berth?
Yeah.
And if you just leave them the fuck alone, they'll leave you
Yeah.
the fuck alone. That's why so many divers can go down and, like, as long as they're not, like, thrashing around and being a bitch.
Right.
Like, the sharks are gonna, like, they're animals. They're curious. You're a new thing. They've never seen you before. So they're gonna come up to you. They're gonna investigate and go, I don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I smell blood like a mile away. Adios. So, yeah, just, like, if you just leave them alone,
Yeah.
they're going to leave you alone.
I saw this video one time, and it's a guy, like, diving, right? And this, like, shark comes up to him and is like, you know, whatever. And the guy just, like, shoves it.
Yeah. He's like, go away.
Yeah.
And you can just do
And
that.
the shark's just like, all right.
Whatever.
I'm just a shark. Who cares? You know?
Yeah. So, leave sharks alone.
Yeah,
They're fine.
don't mess with sharks. You should be more worried about manatees.
You should be more worried about fucking killer whales.
Yeah, because they are bitches. They will get you.
They like will genuinely torture seals and penguins for fun. We have it documented that they get enjoyment out of torturing other animals. And then sometimes they just don't even eat them.
And you know why? It's because they're dolphins.
It's exactly
Because dolphins are mean and awful. I hate to ruin people's perception of dolphins.
Yeah.
Dolphins are one of the only animals we've documented that like raping things. Straight up. They they do it on purpose. The dolphins are awful.
They're terrible.
Dolphins
creatures.
and otters. Otters are also awful.
Yeah. If you want some good nightmare fuel, look up river dolphins.
Yeah.
Them bitches are terrifying.
They are terrifying. They're not like the quaint, sharks are nicer than dolphins are.
Yes. Because again, right, the shark is a dumb fish.
Yeah.
It is literally a fish.
Yeah.
It's not a mammal, it's a fish. So it has like one whole train of thought, which is survive.
Yeah.
And if you are not part of that survive plan, it's going to leave you the fuck alone. Dolphins are criminals.
Yeah, they are criminals. They're mammals. Yeah.
They do that shit for fun.
They do. They're awful.
Anyway.
I'm a turtle man myself.
I fuck with turtles.
I love
every
turtles.
Day.
Turtles are the best.
I love going to like the zoo or like any place that has like a little pond.
Yeah.
And it has turtles. And you can just see the turtles just like vibing on a rock.
Yeah, they're just
man. Yup. You're like, man, what I wouldn't give to just do that all day.
I'd love to be a turtle. Just hanging out on a rock, just sunning,
Yeah.
eating fish or whatever.
Yeah.
just floating around. Big fan of turtles. Big fan of since we're just talking favorite animals here. Big fan of wombats.
Oh, wombats.
Big wombat fan.
Hell yeah. They're pretty goated.
What's another? I like gorillas. Big fan of gorillas.
Gorillas are cool.
I like gorillas because they're just dudes.
Yeah, that's just a guy.
That's just a guy.
That's my man Jeff.
I like when you see an image of a gorilla and it's just a guy hanging out. You know, it's just a video of just a dude. Like when you go to the zoo and you're looking at a gorilla and he's just like. He just looks like a guy in a lazy boy. You're like, it's just my friend Jeff.
He's just hanging out.
He's just hanging out.
He's just like chewing on something. And you're like, me too, bud.
That was the tragedy of Harambe. Harambe was probably just some guy.
Yeah.
You know? Like he's probably just going up to that kid like, what's up?
What's
like,
up, homie?
How'd you get in here?
This is my home. You didn't even knock.
Yeah.
Weird ass,
like, what
and
the
then
fuck?
all of a sudden, lights out.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
The hell?
Bullshit.
Anyway.
Justice for Harambe.
Justice for Harambe.
8 years later.
Years late. God damn.
I know.
Oh, I'm so old. Anyway. Okay, Grayson.
Yeah.
It's editor's picks. Woohoo. Woohoo. What do you got?
For no particular reason at all, not based on any current events that are going on currently in the world.
Okay.
I think I've suggested this before, but it's been at the forefront of my mind. Again, for no particular reason.
No particular reason.
Les Mis.
Oh, yeah.
Les Mis with Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
It's a banger.
Enough said.
Probably going to rewatch it in the next week or so.
Okay.
I had another one too. I totally forgot what it was.
Okay.
But if it comes to me, I'll spew it.
I think it would be really funny if this segment just became Grayson recommends Les Mis every week.
I can't remember the last time I think I've only suggested.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Ah, fuck.
That's okay.
Whatever.
It'll be,
2 weeks.
In like a couple weeks, it'll be like, I'm going to recommend Les Mis.
Well, that's why I'm trying to think of the other one.
That's okay. No, Les Mis is good.
Do yours and I'll see if I can remember mine.
Okay. Sorry. Oh, I just blanked.
Ah, shit.
I forgot what I was going to recommend.
No.
Oh, no. We just stare into space for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'll recommend so it's Christmas time.
It is.
Again. And my wife and I have been doing like a Christmas horror marathon.
Ooh.
So we've been watching a lot of sort of like wintry and Christmassy horror movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend everybody go watch the movie Black Christmas from 1974. It's sort of a horror thriller film. It's not particularly graphic or anything like that. It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
It's just a really interesting and good movie. If you don't like horror movies, you might not like it, but it's just a good, it's a very interesting movie. I want to say something, but I don't want to spoil the movie. If you haven't seen it, I guess skip ahead a couple of seconds, but it is the sort of originator of The Call is Coming from Inside the House, which is a good time.
Nice.
Which, by the way, I don't know why this never occurred to me. You know how whenever in like a cop movie or like a horror movie or something, they're like, okay, the killer is calling. Let's, like whatever. And they're tracing the call, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that back in the day, you literally had to trace the call. Like, there's a scene in Black Christmas where like they're like the killer is keep him on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's because you literally had to walk through the like phone company and see which line was active.
Yep.
Like, so you could like listen in and be like, okay, it's this address, it's this like, because now you just like plug in a thing and they like trace it. But like back in the day, you literally had to like, okay, which line is moving? Which
Yep.
So like keep them on the phone for 2 minutes because that's how long it's gonna take me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's very interesting.
I just thought that was fun.
It is cool.
Did you think of your other thing?
I did. Charlie Brown Christmas.
Oh,
it is a classic. I grew up on that shit.
Yes.
Charlie Brown Christmas. It's just like, it's one of the best, like, feel good, just like warm, happy, like, just nice Christmas movie.
I agree.
If you've never read a Charlie Brown comic or been around Charlie Brown at all, go look up some old Charlie Brown comics because they're just solid.
They are.
They're really, really good. And I mean, Charlie Brown Christmas is the music alone is so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, Charlie Brown is funny because if you read like old Charlie Brown strips, they're like weirdly existential.
Yeah.
For like a kid's like comic strip.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like Charlie Brown like lamenting the pain of life.
Yep.
But they're good.
Yep. And I will say, if you do like Charlie Brown, there's this wonderful play called Dog Sees God. I was actually crew on that.
I know. That's why I was there.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, it's basically Charlie Brown, but they're all grown up now. They're in like high school.
Yeah.
It's it's really good. It made me cry.
Yeah.
Several times. But yeah, if you're a fan of Charlie Brown, it might ruin your childhood a little bit, but man, it's a solid play.
Yes.
If you've been like stuck on like, if you're in like college or whatever and you've been meaning to like find a script or something to analyze or put on or whatever, Dog Sees God. It's it's very short. It's like an hour and a half. It's pretty solid. So
we saw that at the X.
Yep.
Which is the like experimental theater.
Yes.
At our university.
Yep.
That's right. Grayson and I were in art school.
Yeah, we were. I'm a theater kid, baby.
Anyway, well, that pretty much does it.
Yeah. Two solid movies.
Two solid movies. Two solids.
Two solids. First double feature.
Yes, our first double feature. We did it.
We did.
And it's only been a little bit longer than it's about the same as a normal episode. That's pretty good.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Right on, partner. All right. Well, let's take this baby home.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
If you like this podcast, give us a follow.
Yeah.
Give us a like. Give us a nice review. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can do it right in your app.
Yep.
5 stars really helps out the show.
Yep.
We recently did our Spotify Wrapped thing. Thank you to everybody who's like been listening, made us one of our been one of our top listeners or whatever. Mm-hmm. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Like I said, leave a nice review. Follow us on everything: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Engage the algorithm. Well, TikTok for as long as it's going to be around.
Yeah, TikTok until the new year, and then I guess we'll move to Pornhub.
Imagine. We could show a hole then.
We could show a hole. We could do this whole thing naked, which would be disturbing.
It would be horrible, and nobody wants to see that.
Nobody wants to see that. No, I don't know what we'd. I would just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm not getting a new one.
Let's
sorry.
Just do Tumblr.
Yeah, we could do Tumblr.
I could run the Tumblr.
Okay.
I'm already on there anyway.
Well, then start it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not starting a new one. I'm not getting
You're
on
good.
Blue Sky. I'm not. I've seen some people be like, TikTok's moving over to Lemonade. I'm not doing that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm too old to learn a new one.
Yeah.
I'll just keep posting on whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you look at the description of this episode, there is a link to a Google form where you can recommend a film for us to watch.
You can also email us.
Viva La Action @gmail.com. I think that's pretty much everything. Yep, that's it. If you want to find Grayson, you'll find them rolling in a giant hamster wheel down the street. And you'll find me flapping my arms like I got wings and trying to jump off the roof. Thanks for listening.
Adios.